Hello everybody. Today is August the 15th, 2021. And yet another true story, but funny, I'm going to tell you. In 1971, I was working for Citroen cars in the UK. At that time, Citroen had many wonderfully designed cars, which were many, many years ahead of their time compared to other makes of cars. One of the most amazing cars, and it was a story that happened to me, was about a new Citroen car at that time called a Citroen SM, which is short for Citroen Maserati. This particular model was produced from 1970 to 1972. It was powered by a 90-degree V6 engine of 2,670 cc. It was a 3 dual-bodied Weber carburetors. The engine was developed by the engineer Alfieri at the Maserati factory under the direction of the Citroen Technical Department. It was really, really interesting. I should continue with my story. Whilst I was selling cars, I had a phone call from a British colonel in the army. He was interested to buy this new model, the Citroen Maserati. And he said to me, "Oh, old chap, could you come and pick me up in London, Grosvenor Square, which is in the middle of London?" And I said, "Yes, of course." So off I went and I drove the car to his house, which is a big house. He walked around the car, looked at it and said, "Okay, chap, give me the keys. I want to drive it." I looked at him and said, "No, sir, you can't drive this car. I'm here to show you the car and take you out on a test drive." The reason being, firstly, the car is left-hand drive. Secondly, the power steering is not like any other car. It is designed similar to a racing car. Plus, it only needs 2 turns from lock to lock, and the steering automatically self-centers. Oh, and also the braking system is again not like a normal car. It does not have a pedal, it has a button on the floor. This is very similar to power steering or air brakes, I should say, on a lorry, which is completely different to what you're normally used to driving. But if you insist that you want to drive this car, I must ask you to sign a sales order for this actual car, so should we have an accident, you will have to buy this car outright. The army colonel laughed at me and said, "I have driven everything from tanks to large army vehicles and trucks. It's not a problem for me. I can drive this car." I just smiled at him and said, "Okay, sir, sign this order for the car and give me a deposit or even the full amount and you can drive it." He looked at me and went, "Okay." He signed the order and gave me a cheque in full for the car. I then drove the car out of central London for him, explaining the many different features of the car. I then stopped the car and he then got into the driver's seat. I again explained to him about the power steering and the braking system. He said, "It's fine, it's no problem for me, I've driven tanks." We then drove several kilometres and we came to an under overpass on the main road. He could not decide quickly enough if he wanted to go down the underpass or on the overpass. So sadly, we hit a very large concrete bollard in the middle of the road, which caused an extensive damage to the front of the car. I then phoned the company breakdown truck. They came along and picked me up with the customer and the car. The colonel actually bought the car and paid another £3,000 for the repair of the car. And at that time the car was expensive. It was around £9,000. So the car cost him around £11,000. That's a true story and it did actually happen. Bye bye for now.